Y'all ready to blaze away or what?
JSC Criminal Psychology made an excellent video explaining what it is to be an anti-hero. In this video, I want to analyze this and also compare it to our characters, Jin Kazama and Kazuya Mishima.
So you might be curious about the contrast between the anti-hero and the villain. One we embrace and relate to, while the other we despise and detach from. Both are driven by selfish motivations, yet our emotional response differs between them.
In this instance, Jin Kazama is the anti-hero. He is described in Tekken at times as a dark hero. In Tekken 6, he causes World War III. This war goes on from Tekken 6, 7, and even in Tekken 8 we're seeing still unfold. The two words JSC used to describe the villain, despise and detach. But no one really feels that way for Kazuya. If anything, Kazuya is also the anti-hero. We can relate to him and the struggles he went through and how he has been battling Heihachi and how he is also battling the Devil Gene. Some argue that before Jin Kazama was introduced in Tekken 3, Kazuya was the main protagonist. And I think that is true because Kazuya was the protagonist. He was the anti-hero. But his struggles with Heihachi, but most importantly, the Devil Gene, he lost. He lost that battle and was engulfed by the darkness. That's when you introduce Jin Kazama. He faces the same threats, he faces the same challenges, but his battle is prolonged. His battle is still shaping, is still going on. I also think Jin Kazama is a major reason why Jin Kazama doesn't end up the same way as Kazuya did. Both of them are struggling with the true villain, the Devil Gene. Both of them are anti-heroes, but we see the two battles play out differently. Kazuya is engulfed by the darkness, and he becomes that darkness.
Anti-hero and the villain. Both are driven by selfish motivations, yet our emotional response differs between them. The reason for this, while not necessarily obvious, is a relatively simple formula. The anti-hero must have a glimmer of humanity alongside a noticeable vulnerability. This is what allows the viewer to truly connect with the character.
The story of Tekken is broken up in two. You have when Jin Kazama was present and in her absence. In her presence, I think the glimmer of humanity for Jin Kazama both lied in her. Ever since her absence, she disappeared. Both of their humanities has been fading. Kazuya, his humanity is gone. Harada described Kazuya as pure evil. There is no humanity left. For Jin Kazama, there is a trace of it. There is a source of it. Jin Kazama still has things to cling on to, but also his glimmer of humanity stems from his inner motivations. Where Jin Kazama truly earns the title of hero, where Kazuya does not, is regardless of the war, regardless of everything he's done, he's willing to lay it all on the line for the greater good. That also is his noticeable vulnerability. JSC Criminal Psychology's video discussing the topic of what makes an anti-hero is centered around this person, Jeff.
This is Jeff. Jeff is a heroin addict and has been for the last 14 years. He is 6'5", weighs 153 pounds, and has now found himself in the unfortunate circumstance of being charged with armed robbery.
Even though this is a stark contrast to Tekken the video game, I think there is some major comparisons to be made here.
While we may not be able to put ourselves directly in the shoes of an addict, we can somewhat relate to the adversity that comes with it, not to mention the incredible magnitude of the situation he is going through in this video. How he responds to this very moment is quite literally the precursor to his entire future. He is at a crossroad moment in life, where on one side is the possibility of hope, and on the other side is the outright guarantee of despair. The long-term path he goes down will be the consequences of the short-term choices he makes.
While watching this video, I thought back to Jin Kazama. In Tekken 8, he has this incredible task of overcoming the Devil Gene, something that his father, Kazuya, was not able to do. But also, his father is the obstacle. The topic of hope and despair perfectly explains where Jin Kazama is at right now. Two quotes that stands out to me. Jin Kazama says, "Look like I lost." Later on in the trailer, Jin Kazama says, "Mother, I still can't protect anybody." And this is a perfect example of him struggling with that hope versus despair. His struggle to overcome the devil gene and also his father is not an easy feat.
And that takes us to the final and perhaps the most important component of an anti-hero, the conclusion. If we go by the Hollywood formula, an anti-hero's actions throughout the course of their life are so drastic and single-minded that they only ever lead to salvation or destruction, and their final decision is always dictated by what they have learned and how they have changed throughout the course of the story.
Jin Kazama is a character that can definitely be described as single-minded. I think all of the Mishimas are. When faced with a choice, they often choose to tackle a situation on their own, with their own doing, with their own power and no one else's. The change in Jin Kazama takes many forms. A lot of them are in the forms of characters: Zhao Yu, Harang, Lars, and also his mother, Jun Kazama. But true change must come from within. Jin knows that he's walking the path of destruction. In Tekken 6, his goal was to embrace it so that humanity can go on and live better. This plan did not work, and what he learns from that experience, what he learns from that failure, is going to be very important in tackling the devil gene the next time around, Azel the next time around, and also Kazuya. Kazuya, on the other hand, is a little bit more mysterious. We don't know if this character knows that he is staring down death. Everything that we've been shown about him in Tekken 8 screams villainy, screams maniacal. Kazuya is at such a high right now to where he doesn't feel like he can be touched, can be challenged. For him, defeating Heihachi and taking over the globe was one of the greatest accomplishments he can do. Killing his son, Jin Kazama, is nothing more than extra. Something that is not necessary, but happens extra.
Whether he goes to prison or not, Jeff will either manage to get clean and rebuild his life, or he won't. He is headed for salvation or destruction no matter what. And that single concept can perhaps define Jeff as an anti-hero. His outcome is a mystery, but either way it goes, it most certainly conforms to the anti-hero's ending.
There you are.